Good morning, Hancock County. We are broadcasting live from the top of the Hancock Whitney Bank building right here in beautiful downtown Bay St. Louis. And today we are introducing to the community the new executive director of the Hancock County Library System, one of my favorite resources in the community, I might add. And his name is John Brdecka. He's coming to us from Chicago, Illinois. Is that correct? All right, all the way. The snowbird has arrived. He's now a resident of Diamond Head. So welcome to the community. I understand you've been with Northwestern University for like 15 years in the library systems program. Tell us, John, how did you get here?
That is a good question. First off, I want to say thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me here on your coffee call today. It goes back, way back. As Tish said, I grew up Chicagoland area. My parents were unfortunately addicts, and I grew up in the foster care system and group homes across the Chicagoland area. And at the age of 4, I went into to be a ward of the state. And fortunately, in my transitions and from group home to foster home, I landed in one of Maryville Academy, which is a group home out in Des Plaines, Illinois, that's ran by Father Ryan and Father Smith.
Oh, great. Yes, of course we know about Maryville.
Great people. And one of the things that they offered kids that came into the program that did well in school was a scholarship. So if you were a kid that went to Maryville and graduated high school, did well in school, and wanted to go on, become a doctor or a lawyer, anything that you wanted to do, they would provide that education for you, which very fortunate to at an early age realize that I wanted to make something of my life because of my childhood, and I realized one day that I wanted to provide a childhood for my family that I didn't have. So I was very fortunate to realize that I wanted to do something with my life, and the childhood that I had was not the childhood that I wanted to provide my family. So education was kind of what set me straight with that. So I ended up going to Illinois State. I got my undergrad in criminal justice. You're probably wondering, criminal justice, how'd you get
So
that?
your resume, I thought, how does that transfer to library?
Yeah. Well, I knew going to college, I needed to pay attention to graduate and that and really be successful through it. So criminal justice was one thing that kept my mind focused in the books, psychology and sociology as well. So in college, I worked for the Office of Parking and Transportation at Illinois State. And when I graduated, I moved to Northbrook and needed a job. And I was wondering, what am I going to do? I guess I have a criminal justice degree. And I realized one thing that is a respectable job that I can raise a family with was becoming a police officer. So I thought I was going to become a police officer. So I started testing with local municipalities in the area. But in the meantime, I don't know if you know anything about becoming a police officer, but it's a long process. You have background checks, you have your interview process, you have your physical test, you have a polygraph test. It's just a long process. It takes time to go through it all. In the meantime, I needed a job to pay the bills. So I was living close to Northwestern at the time, and I searched their job listings to see if they had any opening transportation. Well, they didn't, but they did have an opening as a security coordinator for the libraries there. So there started my journey in libraries, and I applied, got the job, and was the security coordinator there 15, 16 years ago. And in the meantime, I was still continuing to try to get on a police force somewhere. And in the meantime, the folks at Northwestern, the dean, my supervisor, everyone kind of took to me, which I'm very fortunate for. And they realized there was something inside of me that at the time I didn't realize what it was, but they kept saying that it factor, that it factor, whatever that it factor. I'm sitting here as a 21, 22-year-old, like, what's an it factor? Like, no
I
one
think
told
you're
me.
right.
Like, no one told me anything about this it factor. Anyways, so a few years go on, 2 years into it, and they approached me and said, John, I think you would be great fit to be an assistant facilities manager. I'm like, me? I don't know anything about facilities. But they came back and they said, John, two things that you have. You're teachable and you're coachable. Those are the two things that you really need to have in order to like explore and grow professionally. I said, okay, well, I'll do that. I did that for a year, then became the facilities manager there. Northwestern libraries have over 400,000 square feet of real estate, over 7-8 million items, and I became the facilities manager. And at this time, I realized I don't need to continue to try and become a police officer. So I completely put that aside and I said, I got something here. Good. So I was doing that for a little bit, and one of my supervisors, Suzette Radford, she kept poking me. She said, John, you should go to library school. You're really good at this. You should go to library school. I said, nah, I don't. Finally, I said, you know what? I think that's where I'm headed. I think that's it. So I went to library school, Dominican University. Northwestern helped fund that, as well as Maryville Academy again. Maryville Academy has been grateful, very, very great to me in my professional development and my personal development, even after leaving them. And so I got my degree in Master's of Library Information Science from Dominican, graduated there, and the libraries once again had a position open as a faculty librarian. And so I was promoted, was leading a work group department, materials processing delivery services, which was later restructured to print collection management, overseeing their entire print collection and the space that they reside in. Then did that for a little bit, also managed in the interim the facility and security again. Then the pandemic hit, and the university offered all of its employees a voluntary separation program. So, you know, it's if you worked at Northwestern for X amount of years, they would offer you X amount of months as a incentive to like early retirement.
Right.
You know, so that kind of depleted our entire executive team of Northwestern libraries, and so the dean and a senior associate university librarian met, and they started tapping into the next generation of leadership there. And I was fortunate enough and very privileged enough to be selected to lead and become a associate university librarian in our state. And so I was doing that for the past year. And then this job came open. Here I am.
But wait a minute, let's talk about your family,
Yes.
okay? Because I think that's the catalyst that really, the pandemic was the catalyst, because you and your wife have what, 4 children, is that right?
We have 4 children, and I kind of explained it that way, but yes, let's go back because why Bay St. Louis and whatnot. So many years ago, I was on vacation here in Biloxi, and I met my beautiful wife here, and she's originally from Baton Rouge, and I got to talking to her, and she had a daughter, Presley, and come to find out, she had guardianship of her niece. Her sister at the time was dealing with addiction, and you know, this young lady took in her niece and obtained guardianship of her. And I thought this was like the most amazing thing in the world with a background and an experience and a childhood like my own. I thought this was amazing. But this young lady put everything aside of her own needs and wants and like helped another child in need. And so fast forward a little bit. She's truly remarkable. Fast forward a little bit.
What is her name?
Brittany. And fast forward a little bit, and she ends up moving to Chicago.
Wait, how did she end up moving to Chicago? This is very suspicious.
We had a long distance relationship for a little bit. Then she took a leap of faith and ended up moving to Chicago. I did tell her, I said, if you do move to Chicago, if there was a job opening down in the South at some time in the future, I would be more than willing to move back to the South with you. And so she moved to Chicago with Presley and Bailey, her niece. I ended up getting guardianship of Bailey. And then a few months later, Bailey's two brothers, Dalen and Dylan, also moved to Chicago. And I got guardianship of them. And right then and there, I went from a single person to a married with 4 kids, and instantly, right? But I knew that was my purpose, and that was, you know, I really wanted to succeed in life and be driven in order to provide things for children that were less fortunate like myself. And so that's what really motivates me and drives me to this day. And so Brittany was staying home with the kids, and I was working. And at this time, I knew I needed to work to give them everything that they needed. And so I was working multiple jobs. I was working Northwestern, but also Glenview Public Library. I was driving for Uber. I was working, there's 168 hours in a week, and I was working sometimes 120, 130 hours in a week just for these kids to give them some small little snippet of what a normal childhood should look like. And then Brittany and I started having our own kids. Luckily, Brittany's sister found sobriety, and best case scenario, the kids were reunited with their parents back in Baton Rouge. So obviously that's the best case scenario is kids being reunited with their parents. Second best case is staying within the family, which Brittany was able to do and provide for her niece and 2 nephews. So this time we have 4 kids. So we have this at this point in time in the story. Now we have 4 kids: Presley, Brody, Brandon, and Berkeley. And I'm still working a lot of hours. I would get up at 6, 7 in the morning. I wouldn't get home till 8 or 9 at night. And I was never seeing my kids, right? And that's not good. That's not the life that I envisioned as a young 8-year-old sitting there at Brdecka Academy saying this, you know, I got it, right? But it's not the way that I pictured it back then. So
You pictured everybody sitting around the table having dinner together, right?
exactly. Well, being part of their lives and their school and their work and the community that they live in.
And now you have that.
I do, and that's what drew me here. Then the pandemic hit, and it put a pause on my life. Right, it's just quick, busy. Everyone's got to be everywhere, and the pandemic really put a pause on my life. And I realized my personal mission, my purpose, my vision got out of focus. And so the pandemic, with my wife was in school at the time, I was working, all the kids were in school, and now all of that virtual at home, we were on top of each other. It was a mess. And
You really got to know each other then.
All the parents out there, you probably realize that went through the same thing. So I told my wife to reach out to her mom. She at this time was living in Destin. Said, you know, can you find a place for us to come stay so you can help us like with the kids and the schooling and work and everything? And fortunate enough, we were down in Destin for 5 to 6 months, and when it was time to come back, I realized I didn't want to go back. I did not want to go back. I with that time, that pause of my life, I realized this isn't what I really want to be doing. And at that moment in time, it was very difficult to think about life without Northwestern, right? Because
You've been there 15
15 years, and looking back on it, Northwestern was the most stable thing in my life. It's a weird thing to say. Your job was the most stable thing in your life, but with my childhood and everything growing up, the people there became my family. So like thinking that I'm leaving Northwestern, it was like huge. So it's like a big deal. But what's more important, my family, Brittany's family, and she wanting to be closer to her family down in the South. So her dad lives in Defuniak Springs and her mom lives in Destin, but her family also, she's from Baton Rouge, so Bay St. Louis and Hancock County is like right there in the middle. So,
Perfect.
so we're actually having Thanksgiving with all the family this year, and we weren't able to do that prior. But that's what really, I guess after realizing that I didn't want to go back to the Chicagoland area and go back to that lifestyle, it just so happened like a week later, I got an email alert that popped up that said, you know,
New job opportunity.
exactly, right? That said Bay St. Louis. I turned to Brittany. I said, Brittany, isn't that like halfway? Didn't we stop there? Diamond Head a few times. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna apply for this, and here I am sitting with you. And it's
I
just,
can't believe it.
yeah, it's
What I love about you is that you're telling your story. You know, most people want to hide, things that they don't really want to talk about, but that is your story, and you're just bearing it all, because it's who you are and it's who you want to be.
yeah.
And I just think that that is just so courageous for you to be so open about your story.
I realized at an early age I couldn't control anything about my childhood. I had caseworkers come one week and say, you're coming with us, you're gonna go here, this, that. I couldn't control it. And for some reason, whatever that it factor was, I realized one day when I get older, I'm gonna change that. And I'm gonna provide something for my family that I didn't have to show them the correct way. And so
Now you can.
now I can.
Now you can have it all right here in beautiful Bay St. Louis, but you're living in Diamond Head, right?
Yep, that is
So congratulations on finding a home.
I almost didn't take the job because I couldn't find any housing. But yes, thank you, Diamond Head.
Let's talk about your vision for this library.
So being new to the area, being new to the library system here in Hancock County, one of the first things that I've started, this is the end of my third week. And one of the first things that I really wanted to do was sit down with every single staff member that works for our libraries here in Hancock County and really get to understand their feeling on it, get the sense of the culture, sense of what they value, what they bring to work every day, why they do what they do, so that I could just get a general understanding of some of the issues or problems and some of the things, what I'm getting myself into. And really from what I'm hearing, it's resonating with me because a lot of it is, I guess there has been some turnover in the past 4 or 5 years, and they just really need someone to come in and lead and someone to provide stability. And one of my big values is stability because of my own personal background and everything. So I'm hoping that I can come in and lead this great staff that we have with the Hancock County Library System and provide them that stability. But one thing that I want to, another thing that's also kind of great in timing is our strategic plan. So our strategic plan expired in 2020, but we got a year extension because of COVID. So this is a great opportunity for a new executive director to come in to be part of that strategic planning process. And within that process, I want to do outreach to the community, a needs assessment. I want to do focus groups with our core patron base, but also I want to have a focus group on all the patrons who don't come into the library, because I want to find out why they aren't coming into the library, to see if we can really put some resources towards that to get them involved more.
Well, and we have library buildings throughout the entire county. And so to me, these libraries can be a core of the community. Bay St. Louis, Waveland, Diamond Head, Curlington, you have these beautiful buildings, but how do you take these buildings and turn them into a core resource for the community? Like, think of just a library. Okay, I'm gonna go check the book out. You don't have to check books out anymore. You can get everything digital. So how do you transform that building into something that is of tremendous value to a community?
That is a good point. When I think of our services and our programs and our buildings, I would like our staff to start thinking about outside of our walls, not just in our buildings, but outside of our walls and into the community. And with some of these things that I would like to do is get with all of the schools within the Hancock County system and really target. And I know we already have a library card and sign up for first and second graders, but what I would like to do is have a more systematic approach to create lifelong learning. So outreach to the elementary schools and partner with them so that we can actually get a library card in every first and second grader's hands. And then when they get to third grade, fourth grade, partner with the teachers when they're having projects. If what was it, the fifth grade the students have projects on states. So if in October the teacher is doing a project on states, we can have exhibits and little setups with all the state books and little programs within the library, so the teachers can tell, hey, if you need resources, go to your local library, and we'll have the display up with all the states. So partnering with the schools at each grade level, so that we are starting to build lifelong learners that are utilizing our libraries in the county.
Look at every market segment. Like, one of the ideas I know we've talked about in the past is to take that library and turn it into a business resource center, a place where small businesses can go to get the resources they need to develop business plans, to find out about access to capital and how they can grow their businesses. So if you look at every segment of the community and figure out how you can partner with that segment beyond the schools and turning that building into a living resource.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's not just about the schools and the kids there, but it's about everyone in the community. And like you say, the small business owners, it's about the elderly, it's about the people who may have mobility issues. The library is a system that is a service to all of Hancock County. And we really want to make sure that we are utilizing our resources in the most efficient manner to people like small business owners, things of that nature. And with going through a strategic plan and finding out, doing outreach to our community, hopefully that can tell us what we need to be doing with them, really make sure that we are utilizing them efficiently, so that small business owners, the elderly, people with mobility issues, people with vision issues, our children, that we are really molding our programs and services to the people of Hancock County. And that's what I'm really excited about, because it's something that I need to do because I'm so new to this community. So I'm very eagerly awaiting to go out there and learn more about this community. And I'm so grateful for the Chamber of Commerce for putting on the leadership of Hancock County, because I think that is an awesome way for me, being new to this community, to outreach and network with a bunch of people on how the library as a resource can be more integrated and woven into the fabric of our community.
And it's our library, it's your library. And today you've met the executive director of the Hancock County Library System, and he wants to hear from you. He wants to know how our libraries can be a greater resource to our citizens. And so, everybody, welcome John Brdecka to Hancock County, you and your family. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And we look forward to working with you to bring these libraries really back to life, because the pandemic really shut us out of our libraries. Not because of the library system, but just because of the pandemic. Things had to change. So now this is a great opportunity to wipe the slate clean and envision all the ways the library could be a tremendous and continue to be a tremendous resource for our communities. Coming up next, don't forget, we've got the Household Hazardous Waste Day coming your way at the end of October. On October 30th, it's going to be at the Hancock County Arena from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is a way for you to responsibly dispose of all of your household hazardous items. We have the Chamber Golf Tournament coming up that's going to benefit the Hancock County Community Development Foundation on Tuesday, October 12th. We are at a sellout mode. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors for your support, once again, to support our charity, the Hancock County Community Development Foundation. And we have so much more coming your way. Just look for it on Facebook. And also, do we have any questions today from the audience?
Not from the audience. This is great and powerful in the background and the faceless band. I wanted to ask John about the digital resources at the library and how people can take advantage of those.
So we have a lot of e-resources. We have e-audiobooks, recordings, like books on tape. And what you can do is, if you have a library card, if you don't have a library card, stop in at one of your branches and just show them that you either live or work in Hancock County and pick up a library card, and then download the Libby app. It's very simple. Just go into your iTunes account or Apple Play, download Libby, Libby, and it's very explanatory. You just type in your name, your library account number, and then you can start searching books, e-resources, audiobooks, things of that nature, right to your phone or Kindle or whatever mobile device you have.
One follow-up question that was from the audience. So let's say someone doesn't live in Hancock County, but they work in Hancock County. Can they still get a library card?
Yes, they can.
Okay, so what would they have to do to get one?
They just have to come to one of our branches, go to the circulation desk, show them some sort of proof that they do work in Hancock County, and we'll be able to set them up and have them part of our resources and part of our library community.
All right, and I just want to give a shout out to Mary Perkins. I think she's been on the Hancock Chamber Board of Directors even before I became the chamber director 18 years ago. She hired me along with Jody Compretta, John Baxter, and others. Mary, just giving you a shout out because you have done an amazing job in working with the library system and now with the foundation. And we cannot thank you enough for your leadership. And I know how excited you are to have John Brdecka here as our new executive director of the library system. So everybody enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next time on the Hancock Chamber Power Hour Coffee Call.